Welcome to WW0 Season 2, Episode 1. I have promised this for a long time. Let's get this started. I hope you enjoy this new format. I can tell you if you like Season 1, I think you're going to really love Season 2 and all the seasons coming after too. That being said, Episode 1, we're going to go into Spirit Hierarchy, Soul Hierarchy, and the Hierarchy of Embodiment, all through what we will call Zodiac Hierarchy. Okay, this is going to involve a unique way we delineate the zodiac signs in order to, of course, show and demonstrate that there are indeed levels to this ish. For those of you who are excited to really understand where your chart placements fall on this hierarchy and how you express this episode and the next few will do a really good job of helping you explore this concept. What will be important to know as we will be exploring is the concept of zodiac perspectives. So if you have not taken my Astro 102 course, Enter the Zodiac, I will have the link to the description below if you're watching on YouTube. And you can access that course on my Supernatural app. For those of you who are already a member of a tier on that app, you will have access. For those who have the free default access plan, you will be able to access a part of that course. And I will also make available the option to purchase the course directly in case you don't wish to subscribe to the app. That course goes more into the full understanding of what the zodiac is and different ways to measure and see the zodiac signs. We're going to be discussing the nature of perspectives, meaning that there are 12 zodiac signs, and we're going to break that down into 3 groups of 4, each group of 4 being its own perspective, okay? And of course, as you know, astrology involves the planets, the zodiac signs, and its houses. We will just focus on the zodiac. When it comes to zodiac hierarchy, what it is that we will see is there are 3 primary levels that take into account how the zodiac sign fully expresses itself, and knowing where your sun, moon, and rising fall into these levels give you an idea of how they function. Of course, for this video, we will be exploring the sun, moon, and rising. The sun will, of course, represent your spirit, and so that will be the spirit hierarchy. The moon is going to represent your soul. That's going to represent the soul hierarchy, and your rising sign will be represented in the embodiment of hierarchy, or hierarchy of embodiment. That's what I wanted to call it. All right, so this is going to be a fun way to plug and play all 3 facets of your chart. I had initially wanted to make each its own episode, so I wanted to do soul hierarchy, then spirit hierarchy, but I figured it'd be much simpler to combine them all together. Relative to the zodiac perspectives, we do have, of course, the first 4 zodiac signs, which will, of course, represent the individual perspective. All right. These first 4 zodiac signs represent really, as we will discuss, the building blocks that make up for how the rest of the other zodiac signs express themselves. But this first level of the hierarchy we will designate as the individuals. Then the next level of the hierarchy, all right, the one after the first, we will designate and have its representation as the socials, all right? The socials we call the supers, okay? And after the next four, we have the last four zodiac signs. The last four zodiac signs, we see its representation as universal zodiac signs. So the three perspectives we have are the individuals, the socials, and the universals, who are known as the gods. Okay. And with that being said, let's go a little bit more into each level. The first four zodiac signs are called the individuals. All right. We see them represented by Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. These four signs are the building blocks that, like I mentioned before, enable for the other 8 signs to really fully express themselves in alignment with, of course, the first 4. What we'll notice with each level of the hierarchy is that the higher you go, the age development that it corresponds to goes higher. So for the first 4 signs, Aries to Cancer is going to represent anywhere from 0 years old to, I want to say, 12 years old. Aries, of course, is the original zodiac sign, 0 to 2 years old, which will be represented as the warrior, the cardinal fire sign. Taurus, which is the fixed earth sign, and I think will correlate from around 2 to 5, is going to, of course, be the natural. All right. Gemini, which we could say is about 5 to 9, if not 7 to 9, is going to be, as a mutable air sign, the enlightened one, or the angel, the messenger, right? And then we finally have Cancer, the final individual sign. This is, of course, not only a holy power, cardinal water, but it is the specialist, what I like to call the high priestess, but this is psychic power. Relative to the hierarchy, Cancer is where now power becomes metahuman, and that's going to be important when we talk about the supers. Relative to these first 4 signs, as you can see, every single one of these signs represents an element. All right. Fire, earth, air, and water. All right. And if you have your sun, moon, or rising in any of these signs, for the sun, your spirit hierarchy is here. You have an individual spirit. If you have your moon here, you have an individual soul. And if you have your rising here, you embody individuality. The nature of the element will let you know the flavor that it expresses them. But one perk to individuality is that it doesn't stretch itself too far towards others. And the cool thing about individuals is that they are fully themselves. Y'all allow others to understand who they are because you fully encapsulate with embodiment with the rising, expression with the spirit, or receptivity with the soul, who you are. Next, we have the socials: Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. This is where things start to get pretty interesting. The socials are what we call supers because all 4 of these signs are aspects of superpowers and super strengths. Leo is the fixed fire sign, and the meta-human psychic power in Cancer now becomes passionate super strength. This is the vitality ruled by the sun that gives you courage and passion to brave through the elements, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So, of course, those of you with Leo in your placements, you have super strength. Okay, and I think you know that more than anyone else does. All right. Virgo, of course, the mutable earth, is going to represent super perspective. Whether through enhanced synesthesia, regardless, we call Virgos the masters. All right. And one thing that's really interesting relative to a perspective like this, unlike Gemini, that's going to really hold space for individual realization and awareness or understanding of your true experience, Virgo incorporates the social, of course, perspective to analyze and critique how what is true is true. Once we know what it is in Gemini, we start to really, analyze how it is, how it works. Next, we have Libra. Libra is superpower. Libra is a social superpower, as a cardinal air sign. This is designated as the artist, the activist. It's bridging social function, taking individuality, which is what social signs do. They take the individuality of the first four signs and they integrate that socially with others, hence the bridge. This is where we reach our first point of opposition to Aries. Okay, so Libra is going to be the superpower of jumping, but also the superpower of social acuity. One thing that every Libra or Libra placement can do is they can make an agreement with anybody. They can partner with anybody. And given that Libra is Virgo's second house, Virgo has this superpower. Okay, Leo has this super perspective, and Libra has Scorpio. What is Scorpio? Psychological super strength. Okay, so this fixed water sign caps off or ends off this social axis, getting ready to go into the universal axis as a hardcore, deeply psychological state of strength through wisdom. This is, of course, the sign of death, transformation, other people's money, and of course, given that it's the last social sign, it is also going to represent a very, very, very deep and sometimes extreme sense of resilience, being able to really weather any storm and still keep your wits about you, even if you might have to dive a bit in the dark. But Scorpio, in essence, is purity when not corrupted. Anyway, if you have your sun in these social signs, you are a social spirit. Your spirit is super. And when I say super, I really do mean you have super strength, super magic, super power relative to what it is. I do want to take, relative to this new world we're stepping into, a much more different approach when it comes to highlighting the nature of the signs. And I do want you to really feel and think as if you have capabilities at that super level. All right. And if you have your moon in any of these social signs, you have a social soul. Your vessel is receptive to social dynamics and also carries the attributes of these superpowers or super strengths. Okay. And if your rising is here, you are a social embodiment. Okay, you embody social dynamics and social activity. You're a super, is what I like to say. That being said, let us now conclude with the final bracket, the universals. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. All right, Sagittarius, just like Aries and Leo, starts off this last perspective and hierarchy, and it represents ascension. When we talk about the universals or the gods, it's very easy to look at these as they each carry one aspect of God. Sagittarius is going to be the all-seeing eyes of God. It is, of course, the ascension of meaning, interpreting the idea and the truth that Gemini had discovered and the analysis of what's factual about it through Virgo. Sagittarius takes those facts and interprets what they mean, hence its philosophical nature. So Sagittarius, being the all-seeing eyes of God, are going to represent a universal perspective that enables anyone who has placements here to see into the meaning of an experience. Whether this, manifests through clairvoyance or other such supernatural abilities, one thing that's very important is Sagittarius is the beginning of the God level. Period. All right. So this is our entrance into ascension after the underworld of Scorpio, whose purity creates this fire and light. All right. Next, we have Capricorn, the director. If Sagittarius is the all-seeing eyes of God, Capricorn is the power of God, the all power. All right. The decision making as a collective force. Whereas individuals, of course, are going to be one person, and the socials put that together. Collectives are entire mores of different social groups that make up a nation, a country, a world, the universe. Okay, so with that being said, Capricorn, given its cardinal earth, instead of Sagittarius's mutable fire, is going to direct the perspective of Sagittarius and really indicate the most powerful movement, once again, through decision making. All right, this is represented by the director, who is able to really hold space and stand in integrity. And after that, of course, we do have Aquarius, or as I like to say, Diabol Aquarius. Aquarius, given its fixed air nature, is going to represent the mind of God. All right. So we have the all-seeing nature with Sag, the all power, right, with Capricorn, omniscience here with Aquarius. All right. The quality of knowledge. These are our celestials. And now once we get past Capricorn, we're moving out of the boundary of the rules ruled by Saturn, the physical totality of the material universe. Aquarius is quintessentially out of this world. And this is what helps one discern frequencies, think outside the box, adopt revolutionary mindsets that bring one outside of one's current tradition or whatever the norm is. And any of you with Aquarius placements, you're not slick. I see. You're not from here. You're not from here. I know you can pretend you human. You're not from here. It's cool. And I don't think you hide it either. You know a lot more than you should. And this is what classifies this as a God level quality. And last but not least, the most diabolical of them all. In fact, beyond all of that, we have Pisces, the mutable water fishies. Okay. Pisces is divinity, and it's going to represent omnipresence, the presence of God, being everywhere. And Pisces actually exists beyond everything. So, I mean, I question if they even exist or if they're even here, but this is the highest level of magic that exists. Gemini answers what, Virgo answers how, Sagittarius interprets the facts into what it means, and Pisces answers why, completing this reasoning loop that once we theorize or believe why, we now re-experiment into what that is so that we keep that circle going. This is what makes Pisces sensitive to pretty much everything. And I would say there's really nothing they can't feel. Pisces is very interesting, as it is the legend, as opposed to Aquarius being the genius. Pisces has and is represented through extrasensory perception. Okay, honestly, Pisces, I don't look at y'all the same anymore. None of you. Yes, every single one of you with any placements here in Pisces, you have ESP. You can't fool me. I know you can fool other people. You have ESP, extrasensory perception, the ability to perceive beyond the physical and the normal, which is opposite Virgo, which is strictly critical analysis based on the physical. And this allows both to bridge. So if you have your sun, moon, or rising in these collective spaces, you have a God level spirit if your sun is here. All right. You are a universal spirit. If you have your moon here, you are a universal soul. You have a soul wavelength at a godlike level. And if you have your rising here, you embody the universal. Okay. Anything past Capricorn is an elite embodiment. Capricorn, Aqua, and Pisces. That's what we got so far for episode 1. What I'm going to do is split this topic into 4 more episodes. So in episode 2, we're going to go over the individuals. And if you have your sun, moon, and rising in the first 4 zodiac signs, that way we can go more deeply into what kind of powers and what kind of nature each zodiac sign has. Then episode 3, we're going to go into the supers, aka the socials, and see what happens with your spirit, solar, embodiment hierarchy if you have any placements there. And then episode 4, we're going to go into the realm of the gods, and we're going to really explore what it means to have hierarchy or your sun, moon, and rising in the last 4 zodiac signs. Then for episode 5, we'll do a conclusion and we'll integrate all these concepts we learned. And this is where it gets really fun because, of course, some of you might have placements all over your chart. And this is what, through the conclusion episode, I'll be able to break down every single different archetype. Maybe you have your sun, moon, and rising all in the last 4 zodiac signs. That's a specific archetype. Maybe you have your sun and moon in the last 4 zodiac signs, but you have your rising in the social quadrant. So you would be a collective soul and spirit with a social personality. Or maybe you have your sun in Gemini, right? But you have your rising and moon in Virgo. You are what we would call a social individual. All right. Albeit there are many different ways to categorize this. We will explore that in episode 5. And if you would like to also apply this with other planet placements here, you are more than welcome to do so. We're just going to focus on the spirit, the soul, and your embodiment. All right. Comment down below what your placements are, where you fall in the hierarchy, and how excited you are to explore this concept and to return to World War Zero, baby. Season 2. We back. You guys stay blessed as always. Peace.